We're going to go ahead. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our third fall teacher webinar series. We have had some great programs this fall, and I'm very excited to introduce in a minute Jessica Holton from the Illinois Holocaust Museum and Education Center. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you all the teachers and educators and administrators. My name is Isabella Fisk. I am a co-founder of the Mark Schoenwetter Holocaust Education Foundation. My sister Ann Arnold is here as well. She is on mute today, and she's going to be signing off in just a few minutes. She's actually at the airport right now. That's why she's wearing a mask. And so she has to catch a flight, but all is good. Thankfully, we are starting to be able to travel again. So that's always good news. So that's exciting. So I also wanted to thank our sponsors for allowing us to do these programs, Wells Fargo Advisors and the Nancy and Andrew Wayne family. Thank you so much for their generosity. So I want to, welcome everyone again. We have these great programs that are available to us that we're going to hear about from the Illinois Holocaust Museum. And you as educators know it is so hard to get funding for a lot of these programs that cost money. In the virtual world that we're in today, there is, the silver lining that we don't have to be in Chicago to have the benefits of seeing a lot of these programs. So some good comes out of bad sometimes, and that's one of the good things that we can virtually see programming, and we're going to hear about that today. So you're going to ask sometimes, how can you get money for the program? So the Mark Schoenwetter Holocaust Education Foundation, that's what we're here for. We're here to be able to offer you grants to apply to us, to be able to get funding, to be able to hear and learn and see a lot of these great programs you bring into your schools. We just closed our grant cycle for the year. We've had some amazing applications come in, and we're going to be giving out a lot of money. We're going to be reaching over 30,000 students in this grant cycle, over 19 different states. So we're thrilled with the impact we are making. So our next grant cycle will open up again for the next fall, next school year. So keep in mind the programming that Jessica's going to talk about, that you can apply to us using our funds to be able to see and use it towards the programming that she is going to be offering to you today. So you can ask questions in the chat throughout. We're going to be looking and monitoring them. And I believe Jessica is okay with answering your questions throughout the process. Don't feel like you're interrupting her. She can balance and juggle and do all those great things. So we're gonna have a great presentation ahead of us. So without further ado, thank you so much for joining us. And Jessica, it's all yours.
All right, well, thank you so much. Thank you, Isabella and Ann, for inviting me to present on the Illinois Holocaust Museum's virtual resources. I am Jessica Holton. I am the Assistant Manager of Education at the Illinois Holocaust Museum. And I, again, am excited to see you all here and to share what we've done in the past year and a half, 2 years. And we're going to learn about the Illinois Holocaust Museum's online virtual resources that can be used synchronously and asynchronously. And we know that taking your students into this difficult subject is not easy. So we try, we're going to navigate the museum's resources to help guide you when you're going into the subject, for the students to go safely in and safely out. So I am going to share my screen. And I think, let me open the chat. Does that look good? Okay.
Yep, looks good.
All right, so we're going to learn about our virtual field trips, our virtual teaching trunks, and our virtual PDs. But first, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the museum. The museum's mission is best expressed in its founding principle: remember the past, transform the future. And we do this through teaching the universal lessons of the Holocaust to combat hatred, prejudice, and indifference. As you can see here, we have our on-site programs, such as our on-site field trips and our Karkomi Holocaust exhibition. We have on-site student leadership days, and professional development. But for the past year and a half, we basically created an online museum, and we put all of our exhibitions online and created virtual field trips, as well as our other teaching resources, our virtual teaching trunks, and we have virtual PDs. So I wanted to start with our virtual field trips. And a lot of people don't know that we have a youth exhibition for 3rd through 6th grade. And it's called Make a Difference, the Harvey L. Miller Family Youth Exhibition. And that goes into, can do a little bit of it's the lessons of the Holocaust, not the graphic nature of the Holocaust. So, and we also have 7th through 12th virtual field trips for 7th through 12th grade. So that go through our Carcomie Holocaust exhibition. So I wanted to start with our In Our Voices field trip of our Carcomie Holocaust exhibition, which is for 7th through 12th graders. It is essentially an asynchronous virtual field trip that is broken down into 4 different segments that are narrated and goes through the history of the Holocaust through our artifacts and the survivor stories behind those artifacts. We do offer a synchronous option, where you can have a live docent do a Q&A session for 20 minutes with your students, and also have a survivor or have a speaker, either a 2G or a survivor, that can hop on Zoom. We have a small group that can go on Zoom and talk to students for about 45 minutes, and they are amazing. They love to talk to students, even if it's online, because they've been, cooped up for so long. So that is one of our options. So I'm going to click in here and show you what the virtual field trip looks like. So once you register for the virtual field trip, which is over here in the right-hand corner, you will get a link and a password when you want. If you're using it in April, you'll get the link and the password for April, and you will have access to these 4 videos. And each video comes with a glossary, questions for reflection, and activities. And the thing about this is we wanted to make it a package, because at the time when we created this back in April 2020, we didn't know the timing of classes, what teachers needed. So we tried to do as much as possible to make it as easy as possible for students and teachers to use this. And so each video is about 11 minutes long, and you can also share the password and link to your students, so you could assign this as homework, or you can watch it as a class. There's also, for each video, students can fill out a note as you go, which is what was surprising, what was unexpected. How do you think the people in these stories might have felt, which is, they'll hear about survivor stories in the virtual field trip. And then what questions do you still have, which I think is great, because if you're doing a docent Q&A after you watch the videos, this will be helpful. The students will already have questions for them. And each, again, has a glossary for that specific part. So you'll see right here the terms, and then go back, and and again, ask me any questions you have. But right now I'm going to show you a portion of the virtual field trip part 1.
Hello, and welcome to your virtual field trip of Illinois Holocaust Museum's Carcomie Holocaust Exhibition. On this tour, you will be introduced to a number of Holocaust survivors who made their homes in the Chicago area. You'll learn about upstanders who made the choice to help others, as well as bystanders who stood by and chose not to get involved. Along the way, you will see the impact that people, world leaders, and everyday citizens can have on the world around them by the choices that they make. As you watch and listen to this tour, we encourage you to take notes, not just of facts and figures, but details that surprise you or catch your attention. You can also make notes about questions you still have and how you think that the people in these stories might have felt. This tour consists of 4 parts. At the end of each part, we will ask you questions to consider, and your teacher may give you additional activities or assignments to complete. As we begin our tour, we get a glimpse of what life was like for Jewish families in Europe before the Holocaust began. Families lived not so differently from their non-Jewish neighbors. They got married and raised children, celebrated holidays, had jobs, and took vacations. For assimilated Jewish families in Germany, they considered themselves Germans who were also Jewish. Among more traditional Jews in Eastern Europe, their Jewishness was much more central to their identities and separated them physically and culturally from their non-Jewish neighbors. Adam and Pella Starkoff, shown here in their wedding photo, were childhood sweethearts in Warsaw, Poland. They attended Warsaw University, where Adam studied accounting and Pella studied law. They had a happy life in Warsaw and did not experience very much anti-Semitism before the war began. We will learn more about them later in the tour. The origins of the Holocaust began much earlier, with Germany's defeat in World War I. Germany had been the most powerful country in the world with the strongest military, and people could not understand how they had lost. The Treaty of Versailles, which officially ended World War I, imposed harsh terms on Germany. The German economy and political system were devastated. Unemployment soared, and inflation was so extreme that businesses began paying employees twice per day because prices rose so quickly that money became worthless. People needed someone to blame, and minority groups, particularly Jews, became scapegoats. Anti-Semitism had existed in Germany for centuries, even though the Jewish population was small. In this chaotic environment, dozens of political parties emerged, each trying to convince the public that they could solve the country's problems. One of these was the National Socialist Democratic Workers' Party, better known as the Nazi Party, led by a young World War I veteran named Adolf Hitler. The Nazi Party platform promised that Germany would be restored to strength and glory by defeating its enemies, particularly Jews. Hitler and his associates advocated for the removal of so-called undesirables from German society and creating a country composed of what they called Aryans.
All right, I'm going to stop it right there. And this video goes up to Kristallnacht. And I want to actually say that we created this in 2020. We are going to do a version 2 that should be available in 2022 that we will have now that we have access to the museum and can, video, take videos of the museum and the exhibition itself. We will be revamping this. So at the time we created this at home. So, but it's beautiful and it's awesome. And so I want to get back to we watched a portion of the video, but after there are questions for reflection and discussion, reflect on Jewish life before. They'll talk about choices. What challenges did they have under Nazism? And why did they choose to leave or not leave? Also, and this helps, I guess, process the history, helps students think about the origins of the Holocaust, how it was possible for the Nazis to come to power. You always have to bring in resistance and choices. So we talk about kinder transport and, what choices and what forms of resistance Jews had at this time period before Kristallnacht. If I go back, we also have activities. So these are great to kind of get deeper into the subject, get deeper into the content. Another way of processing the history through writing prompts, and it can build historical and personal empathy through these writing prompts about the survivors, their experiences, the events that took place. So we have here the writing prompt, a teenager in Nazi Germany. We also do, I like the live report, write a blog post or record a video blog reporting on the events of Kristallnacht, and create a letter home. The students will learn about Lucille Wolf, who was on the Kindertransport. And so I think these questions are good to reflect, what does Lucille want her family to know about her new life in England? And how does she feel about being separated from them? So these are all great activities. Again, it's a package. And we wanted teachers to, have everything right there for them. And again, you will watch these 4 videos with your students, and then you can have the live Q&A with the docent afterwards. So you'll schedule a 20-minute Q&A and you'll schedule the survivor. We've done kind of the survivor and docent back to back, which has been very successful so far. So the docent will do 20 minutes, the survivor will speak for about 45 minutes. And teachers say that the students have been really engaged. They ask a lot of questions, and it's always a powerful experience to hear from a survivor. So especially online. So, and then I wanted to show you how to book a virtual field trip. So you can go to students and educators in our ilholocaustmuseum.org. So you'll book a virtual field trip, you'll pick in our voices, and then you will see asynchronous or a live speaker or a live docent, and you can do them together. And the cost is the same for having a docent and a speaker. It will be $8 per student. And we do have incentive pricing during the fall season. And also to note, we do have that virtual tour in Spanish as well, narrated, and all the activities are in Spanish as well, translated. So I want to ask if there's any questions before I move on. Anything? So who in the room teaches 5th and 6th grade? Anyone? Because I wanted to show you a little bit about our youth exhibition and our Harvey L. Miller Make a Difference youth exhibition virtual field trip. So, which does a great job for a age-appropriate introduction to the Holocaust. So the youth exhibition was actually created, by the survivors. We asked them, what do you want, children to know in lower grades and 3rd through 6th grade. So these are the lessons of the Holocaust. It's really about social emotional learning, character development, developing empathy, developing social awareness, and building skills to demonstrate positive choices or decision making and responsible behaviors. So it's not about the graphic nature, like I said before. It's really about learning how to make good choices, how to help others, how to recognize when to help others. It's a very interactive space in the museum. So we wanted to make this virtual field trip as interactive as possible. And this is asynchronous. So again, you'll apply for the field trip, you'll get a confirmation, you'll get a link and a password, and you'll have access to all of these activities. And they are approximately 1 hour and 20 minutes. You can focus on contemporary upstanders, or we can focus on an age-appropriate introduction to the Holocaust, which I think is very, it's well done. And I'm going to show you some of the activities that go along in the age-appropriate introduction to the Holocaust. So the first thing is what's in your suitcase, which goes through the story of Ralph Raybach, who he was a survivor that got out after Kristallnacht. His family got out. So I am going to click in, and we use many different platforms. So this is Prezi, and we also used Google Slides to create some of our activities and make them interactive. So hold on a second. All right.
During the Holocaust, people were treated differently because of who they were. In this activity, you'll learn about a young boy named Ralph, whose family was forced to leave their home because of their religion. What choices did Ralph's parents make to protect their family? What obstacles stood in their way? And how did they succeed in building a new life? Ralph was born on July 11th, 1934, in Gotha, Germany. Ralph's parents were named Ruth and Hans. Ruth worked as a dental hygienist, and Hans worked as an export manager in a metal factory. Ralph and his parents were Jewish, and they lived a happy life together. Ralph's carefree childhood began to change when Adolf Hitler came to power in Germany. Hitler recruited many people to join the Nazi Party and followed his beliefs that people should be treated differently based on their religion, ethnicity, or political beliefs. Hitler put restrictions on what Jews could and could not do in society. All of the Jewish doctors in Ralph's town left, and the neighbors began treating the Jewish people in Gotha poorly, even beating them up. Ruth lost her job in the dentist office after a law forbade Jews from working in a medical field.
So it goes on to tell Ralph's story. And I'll show you a picture of Ralph today.
Ralph grew up, went to college,
And
got married.
So, but I want to show you, again, we've tried to make everything kind of a package deal. So after each activity, we have reflection questions. What do you think it meant to Ralph's parents to leave their homeland? Can you think of any other situations or events in which people lost their homelands? How does losing a homeland affect an individual? So they can kind of connect to it, connect what's going on today, and connect the history to make it relevant. And then I think this is a great activity. If the museum created a suitcase that told the story of your life, what would you include? So students would pick two to four objects and do a presentation for their teacher about why they would include them in their suitcase. So I think this is a great introduction and very age appropriate for 5th and 6th graders. Click back in here. We also, there's so many different activities. I do like the choices activity as well. And this one, it always talks.
Welcome to the Illinois Holocaust Museum and Education.
All right. So we're going to learn about Sugihara.
The journey. You will learn about an individual named Chuni Sugihara, who was faced with a series of choices during World War II. Think about how you would react and follow Chune along his journey. Through your help, you can help Chune make the best choices that will lead you to the goal.
So tells
Setting
his
the
story,
scene.
how he was a
Before
diplomat.
World War II, Lithuania was home.
And what I'd like to show you is, so it goes through what the story of how he helped. And then it gets to a point where what choice did he
What
make?
choice did he make? Chune wanted to help refugees during World War II, but he was ordered not to issue visas. He could follow orders, or he could risk his job to help people. Review 3 options on the following slides and click on the one that you think is the best for Chune.
So you have option A,
Option A,
B, or C. So the students can pick one. If they pick the wrong choice, it goes try again. And then, so I'll pick option C. Great choice.
Option C, great choice. Chune decided to issue visas despite his government's orders, saving the lives of 6,000 Jews.
And there are extension activities.
Extension activity number 1.
So what did you learn from the story? Why did you think Sugihara chose to defy his government's orders? So it gets the students to kind of process these experiences during the Holocaust. So I will click back in here. You have to click through. So any questions? And I mean, it's great. It's really, you can share, you can do these. The teacher is supposed to facilitate these activities, but they can also assign them for homework. Like they can, you can give the link and password to the students, and you can assign one of these activities for homework, or 2 or 3. So
there is a question in the chat.
yes, is the museum tour similar? And I spent 3 hours. I do not know of the tour of California. Is that the LA Holocaust Museum?
Are you talking about the Museum of Tolerance, the Simon Wiesenthal Center, maybe? It's the only one I'm familiar with in California.
There is an LA museum.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
Yes, the Tolerance. The Museum of Tolerance.
Okay. I haven't seen the Tolerance, the Museum of Tolerance virtual field trip. So I would love to. I will have to investigate that. But what I showed you right before is what we have right now. And again, we are going to video the actual exhibition and show you the artifacts that we have, such as the rail car, you know, our crystal knock room. So it is, and it's going to be great. But I also quickly want to say for 7th through 12th grade teachers, we also have thematic virtual field trips that are, they are docent led. They will present this, they will do a presentation for the students. There are questions of reflection that you can, that they will give you ahead of time for the students. And we have 3 different types of thematic field trips. One is this one, Nazi propaganda, fueling hate and genocide. And then we also have children during the Holocaust, which goes through, you know, the lives of children, even under Nazism, in ghettoization, and what they experience, which is good to kind of get that personal and historical empathy. Then we also have ghettoization during the Holocaust. So that looks more at Poland and the ghettos in Poland. And these are good if you have time to focus and get deep on the topic. I show you the Nazi propaganda one because I think it's very relevant for today with media literacy. It really breaks down the tools and techniques, 4 basic techniques used to create propaganda, and then shows how the Nazis used these techniques to basically them create the other, Jews as the other, and the them thinking. So that is a great virtual field trip. And if I kind of click in here, you can book the virtual field trip. It will be live on your classroom platform. You will just give them the link to your classroom, and they will share their screen and do a presentation. So you can pick the thematic propaganda, children of the Holocaust, ghettoization during the Holocaust, and you pick the date of when you want them. And that's similar to the Make a Difference as well. So this is live, and it's synchronous. I also, for our free resources, which I think go really well with a virtual field trip. If you go for a virtual field trip, I definitely recommend going for our virtual teaching trunks, which are completely free. You just need to sign up. We just need to capture who's using it. But we also do have traveling teaching trunks, which we did not travel in 2020 and 2021 because of COVID, but in 2022, we're going to start to travel them. And they are steamer trunks that weigh 120 pounds with classroom sets, DVDs, documentaries, maps, literature circle sets, all sorts of things. That it's a lot, but it's great. And I wanted to show you what we did virtually because we couldn't travel them. We put them online. So for book listings, we picked books that are in the traveling teaching trunk and the ones that would be accessible online for free. So All But My Life by Gerda Weissman Klein. You can rent it on the Internet Archive. It's kind of like an internet library for free. And each book has classroom activities. Again, we kind of use these questions for reflection and extension activities with journal prompts. So it's all right there. I also wanted to show you our survivor documentaries. And I think this is great for bringing in more narratives and more stories of survival. A lot of people teach Knight and a lot of people teach Anne Frank, but this gives students a different perspective. So if you have time in your classroom, you can use these documentaries of Magda and George, of Aaron Elster, who is a hidden child, and Fritzi, who went to Auschwitz. And all you have to do is click here, put the password in, and you have access to all those documentaries. In our teaching trunk, we also have artifacts. We had artifact replicas in the traveling teaching trunks, which are super cool. It's just great for students to kind of hold and see, like a naturalization paper or a passport with the J stamped in it, and students can touch and hold that. But during COVID, we wanted to put that online and we made it an exploration. So if we click into Aaron Elster, it should pop up soon. There we are. You will learn a story about Aaron Elster once it's open. Hopefully it's not my internet. There he is. Okay, so Aaron Elster, he was an amazing man. He unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, but he spoke to everyone, and he loved student leadership days and talking to the police officers that come. But he was a hidden child, and he lived in an attic alone for 2 years until he was liberated. So first you'll kind of learn about read about what you're going to learn. So you're going to watch Aaron Elster's video about his life. And you can see here, these are the pictures that are in the traveling teaching trunk. Mr. and Mrs. Gorski, who were the couple that saved him and hid him in their attic. Here's Aaron after, in high school in the United States, and he looks like the Fonz, and he loved this picture. And then pictures of his family. And then after you watch the documentary, you have the reflection questions. And I think this is a good question. How was Aaron's Holocaust experience similar or different from other Holocaust experiences that you have heard? So again, it kind of gets them to reflect on those different narratives and different stories of the Holocaust. And then I wanted to show you the journal prompt, the activity. This is the actual attic that Aaron hid in. He went back and years later, I think it was like 2014, he went back and showed people the attic that he lived in. And these are just, what feelings or emotions do you think Aaron might have had living in this attic for 2 years alone? Use examples from the film. So we have, virtual teaching trunks for basically K through 4, which would be more social emotional learning and character ed. And then we have 5th through 6th grade. And this is the 7th through 12th grade virtual teaching trunk. So 5th and 6th is more about the introduction to the Holocaust, and 7th through 12th gets more into those themes of, bystander, upstander, talking about choices, all of that. But again, we are traveling our teaching trunks in 2022, so you will be able to order them. Those are free of charge as well, and we ship out of state. It's all UPS. Please do not try to pick them up. Let the UPS man do it. And we, we're happy to get them out to teachers. I would book them now if you are interested, because they do fill up during the spring when people start teaching World War II and start teaching the Holocaust, the history of the Holocaust. So questions about the resources so far?
Really quickly, you said that these chunks are free. So what do you, and you said that they ship, so they're tangible. You're saying it's an actual item that you're shipping with artifacts in it? Replicas.
Artifact replicas.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they use the trunks in their classrooms and then they ship it back to you.
Yep, we handle all the shipping. So
wonderful.
They have it for 4 weeks. And I mean, there's like a 35 book set, classroom sets and literature circle sets of 5
and you would
books.
get something like the Elster story.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
Exactly. Aaron's in there. His story, and then Fritzy's in there. We have a lot of different survivors and the different artifacts that we include in the trunks. But right now, virtually, if you need something, you can apply or register for this. And my colleague Megan will get back to you with a kind of like a registration form that gives you the link and the password. So it's very easy. And, the virtual teaching trunks, we can get them out, like that. The traveling trunks, you have to reserve a time that you we'll work with you on dates when they're available. And we handle everything.
And is there any qualifications that the teachers need or the schools need in order to be qualified to get these trunks? Great.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So that's one resource. And we do have our professional development that we are offering. And we have some on-site for Illinois teachers, the Illinois teachers that are here, which our first on-site will be, I think it's mine, women's experience during the Holocaust, during genocide. I think I'm doing it. But all the 3:30 Central Time are virtual. They run from 3:30 to 5 Central Time. And we hone in on specific topics of the history of the Holocaust, such as Shanghai, safe haven during the Holocaust. We have, I'm going to talk about the Holocaust in Hungary. And we also have a special exhibition right now about Rise Up, Stonewall, and the LGBTQ rights movement. So we're doing that. I think this is going to be amazing. Operation T4, the euthanasia program. When is the women's experience during the genocide? It's going to be February 28th. Makes me nervous. It's my first in-person, since COVID, professional development. So I am excited and nervous. But yeah, you can just click in to one of these and you can reserve your spot. And this one's on site, so you'll get that registration form. For the virtual, you can go and click in here and you'll get reserve my spot and you'll fill out the Zoom form. So it's all in Zoom meetings. We like to see people and, get their reactions. So it's 4:45. Any questions? I could talk about, we have so many different, we have more exhibitions such as our Take a Stand Center, which we put online as well. And we do student leadership days virtually now, which are free for students. And yeah, any questions about our resources, how to apply? Any questions for Isabella as well for the grant?
I mean, I have to say I'm very impressed with all the programming and not just the programming that you do, but how in depth and really the curriculum that you have put together with the it's not just like take a virtual tour of our museum. I mean, there is massive thought-provoking and curriculum that you guys really could see. The work that you did is just really incredible. So I mean, I want to take every one of these classes and like go into every single one of these programs and learn about them. So I think I just have to like jump on to, if somebody's signing up, I need to jump in and like experience all of them because they're just really spectacular.
Yeah.
So
kudos
to
come.
your educators and for, whoever put all these programs together, especially in probably a very short time. So thank you so much for sharing it.
Thank you. No, it was a very crazy year.
Yes,
putting all of this together.
To say the least.
Yeah, so it's great. And again, we wanted to make it kind of easy for teachers because at the time, you were at home, you were teaching at home.
Right.
You don't have the time to come up with all these questions. So we were like, we need to do everything for the teachers, do as much as possible to make it easy.
And you really have. If, like Tara says, she'll email later. If anyone does have any questions and they want to reach out, is there a contact that they can reach, whether it's you directly or the museum?
Yeah.
Where should they get in touch with you if they do want?
You can email me, or you can, like I said, I'm gonna copy this.
Great.
And put it in the chat. And then you can go to our website. Let me see here. Where did I have that up?
And the website is ilholocaustmuseum.org, right?
Yes. And then you go to students and educators. I'm going to put this link in the chat because this kind of outlines everything that we have.
Wonderful.
So everybody will have that.
Great.
Oh, thank you, Lori.
Great.
All right.
So, I mean, yeah, definitely in North Carolina, this can go all over the country. So this is really just spectacular programming.
Yeah, it's good.
And hopefully we'll get to Chicago soon, that we could actually come into the museum in person, because you're saying that the museum is open now, correct? So anyone who's from Illinois can schedule school trips to the museum, and to take the school trips. There's a fee for the museum. I believe you said $8 a child.
Yep.
You could apply to us and try to get a grant to pay for those tickets, or if the kids want to pay for the tickets themselves and you need the transportation to get there and you need the busing, the grants can also be used for transportation as well to get you guys to the museum. So all great stuff ahead. And let's take advantage, because we know better than anything now is the most important time to be talking and teaching about this. As the survivors are getting older and aging out, And unfortunately, there's more anti-Semitism on the rise and hatred across all spectrums of all colors and races and religions. We need to learn about the Holocaust. So
Yeah,
thank you, Jessica, so
sure.
much for taking the time
Thank
and
you.
teaching us and showing us these amazing programs. And thank you to the teachers for joining us today.
Thank
I
you.
know everyone's time is valuable. So if there's no other questions, we'll leave it at that. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you,